Sometimes if I don't know how to respond to a request or an email, not very often, but in extremis, I simply delete it and they never come back. So you don't actually have to solve all problems that present themselves to you.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Good morning.
Hello to you.
How are things?
Things are good. It is sunny. That always makes everything better, doesn't it?
It does indeed. That's what I find too.
Do you have sun?
I do have sun, and we've had sun all week. This is
and
it.
You've been on the beach in your cosy, have you?
I have, but I only got up to my knees because I decided it was too cold and too late in the day to get in.
And after all, we are British. We don't hurtle into the sea, do we? We go in cautiously.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think I've acclimatised too much now. I'm still not thinking it's hot, whereas all the Brits are walking around sweating buckets.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm working in. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Actually, you tell me about your week first.
Oh, well, it's been quite a quiet week, really. I've just been cracking on with things. My dongle has arrived, which means that I can now plug it into the back of the telly and work my telly from my phone, which includes my VPN. This is, like those little tolerations niggles you have to...
Oh, I do. Yeah. I totally do, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been using a wire that comes out the back of the telly into my laptop, but that means I have to dismantle my laptop from my working station every evening, and I have to carry it across, then I have to put it back later, and it's just a pain in the arse, really. Added to which, when you put the wire in, sometimes the picture goes very tiny on your screen, so if you want to then change channel or turn the volume up or anything like that, you have to unplug the wire and adjust it and then plug it back in again. Anyway, long story short, I bought myself a dongle finally, which I hope I can control from my phone. It arrived, and it's got a bit that you plug into the back of the telly, and then it's got like a power bit that you plug into the dongle round bit, and you have to plug the other end into a socket. Well, my socket is just a little bit too short, a little bit too far away. I mean, infuriating. I'm going to have to go and get an adapter cable just for this one gadget. So
it'll be worth it, though. It'll be worth it.
I know, but it's just such an endless process, isn't it?
I do know.
What else happened? I've been talking to P about her possibly coming out for a week because she's missing me, and I said, well, you could also pop out for a week, and she said, oh yeah, I could, couldn't I? So I think she's thinking about that. We had quite a kerfuffle this week I run two groups for Stoupa. I run Stoupa Life and Stoupa and the Marnie Residents.
Yeah.
And someone popped up, and I mean, you get people trying to promote their business and stuff, which is fine. I just say, look, you have to do this on Saturday or Sunday, where I put up the Small Business Saturday post or the Small Business Sunday post. But this person popped up, and they always do it when you're not paying attention. So it was about 10:30 at night. I think I was either out or in bed.
How do they know that, Nicola? How do they know when we're not paying attention?
I don't know, Judith. That's how it always works.
Rule breakers know when we're not paying attention.
Yes, and they put up this great long post about religion and God and all that stuff, and about inviting people basically to an event they were hosting at their house. And it was all about, here you are in paradise. Do you still feel there's something missing, kind of thing? Oh my God, I went absolutely ballistic. And as you know, rampant atheist. And I just thought, how dare they join a group and immediately put up a great long...
Well, do you know what? In a way, that's the crime to me. It's the immediately joining, without taking any time to settle into the community, get known in the community, get respected in the community before you share your slightly controversial offer.
Slightly controversial.
Well, it depends how you set up the groups, doesn't it? Because they weren't selling anything. You could say they were selling God, but actually they were inviting people to come and talk about meaning of life or whatever, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I lost it because I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and found these things in my group, and I was like, delete,
yes,
block, delete.
Yes.
So now, because and the worst thing was, I deleted it from one, and it immediately appeared in the other. Anyway, but husband and wife team. So I've now put the wife on to post approval. So everything she puts up has to be approved.
Yes.
But I'm afraid the husband bore the brunt of the delete and block. So he's now been removed from both groups. He sent me an extremely nice apology, just not saying, I'm so really sorry I'll put something up in your group without even bothering to find out if it would offend you. Loads of people were messaging me as well. That was the thing. It wasn't just me that was offended. It was a lot of people. 1,200 people in Stoupa Life now. And so that was an awful lot of inbox messages I had to reply to. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so I calmed down a bit the next day, but I just couldn't believe that someone would do that. And people must realise religion and politics, they're not the kind of things to be putting into groups that are full of...
Does it say that in your rules?
Well, it does now, but
yes.
It didn't even occur to me to put a thing about religion and politics.
No.
I put things about...
don't forget that the world looks very different through their eyes.
Yeah, I suppose so.
The other thing, of course, of what you've just said is I'd probably do... who is it that does this? I don't know, but I would probably reply to all the personal messages in one, just saying I've had 16, 17, 19, 155 personal messages. I regret I don't have time to reply to all of them, but I'm very grateful to you for making your feelings felt, or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, like a group post.
Yeah, you can't reply. We can't reply to endless personal messages. It just gets like the full-time job.
It does indeed. And I'm not making any money out of these groups at all.
No.
So it's so that was, I was surprised at the force of my reaction. Yes. Anyway, so that's pretty much my week. I've had a lovely time Dave's Dining Clubbing, and what else happened? I went out last night. We recorded the last 4 episodes of the Right Club podcast for the summer now. So we've got a 2-month break on recording.
Okay.
And, which seems like an awful long time to me, but
yes.
I'll be editing the ones we've recorded, so it'll keep me in the mood.
Yeah.
I just don't like breaks. I prefer to be consistent, but I'm getting used to it.
I think that's good. It's not just the creators that get the break. The audience does. If you remember, it means our audience is always quite gagging for us to come back in September.
Yeah, I'm not convinced the Right Club audience will be doing that.
You think you'll lose them across the summer, do you?
Yeah, I think so.
But actually, I think you make that podcast for another reason, don't you?
One of the reasons is to keep us writing, because we've got deadlines to work in progress. So.
Yes, so it does have an impact on that.
Yeah, but it'll be all right. I mean, I'm sort of getting back into it. I started listening to a couple of writing podcasts again this week, so I'm trying to get myself fueled up a bit again.
Yeah,
because I haven't been at all. What about your week then?
Well, I moved house.
Oh yes.
Well, I've gone from one nice house in Bedfordshire to one nice house in Middlesex, and this is the one that's owned by the lady who is out in Stoupa as we speak. And consequently it has, it's another lovely, livable home full of the accumulated possessions of a family life of 30 or more years. I've written here in brackets junk, but it's not all junk. If you remember, she was in publishing, and so there is a house full of books, fiction, travel and cookery, and in 4 weeks I couldn't hope to dent that. In 4 years I couldn't hope to dent that. She's got she's got all of her favourite books on all of her favourite topics, fiction, travel and cookery, for all of her adult life. And that's, for me, that's not a waste of space. Actually, that's a lovely sort of way of decorating a house. And she's the sort of woman who at properly retired age 69 can put her finger on any book she needs at any time to make a recipe or whatever. Because of the Stoupa factor, as I told you earlier in the week, there's lots of blue and white pots. There's, but not too many. It's not like living in Greece. I am definitely in Hampton. There's a gallon drum of olive oil in the downstairs loo. and rag rugs, which actually, as you said, are lethal, but only when I'm in my shoes. They're not lethal when I'm in my bare feet. And horror of my gig here is to water the garden, and she's growing herbs, big styly, presumably to go with the cookery books. I mean, I'm not going to be able to, well, I've got no need for herbs, but she's got enough out there to be a herbalist, actually. But the first night I watered the garden, which wasn't the first day I arrived, I think it was the second, I managed to bring in from the garden with me the most enormous mosquito.
Oh.
Which as it was on my right hand, I killed it, and it splattered my blood all over the sofa.
How dare it?
I know. But in amongst her clutter, she has got some beautiful things. She's got wooden boxes, leather boxes, silver-backed hairbrush, old black and white photographs. You know, some of her things are things that I would keep as well. So the watering the garden always feels like a chore until you do it, and then it's nice, and then it rains and you don't have to do it. But water's like magic beans. You know, if I water on what day is it today? Thursday. If I water tonight, there'll be things flowering tomorrow that weren't overnight.
I know. It's
absolute magic.
Yeah, I used to enjoy watering the garden.
Yeah, riotous colours. She's got a back wall filled with white, purple and dark purple camellias. There's a bush, I've no idea what that is, with red things on it now. And there's a sort of whole side bed full of pink things, which definitely weren't there when I arrived. As you can tell, I know a lot about gardening.
Well, I was going to say, the red things, do they look a little bit like a toilet brush?
No, they're tiny.
Oh, right, it's not a bottle.
They're tiny, but they're absolutely beautiful. And she's got a lot of nice things growing up garden fences, and I can see there's another whole section of camellias coming that it's not ready yet. But another boon, 2 boons actually. You spoke about televisions. Well, there's a nicely sized television here, because I think that televisions are an abomination. They're sort of god boxes. But this one here is the perfect size, just like the one that Gareth's a month ago. But it's got a magical thing. It's got a beautiful egg-shaped single remote control device with so few buttons on it. I know what every single one of them does, and that's never happened to me in my life before. So it's a perfectly sized television, and I know how to operate it, and it has, you know, all the things you'd want, like Amazon Prime and Netflix and things like that. But my best boon so far this week is, having not lived in a London borough since March 2017, which is 2.25 years ago, I'd forgotten the joy of the dustbin. Tell me about fueling your fire.
Well, this is a good story. I had the last suitcase of all my best ever business books to get rid of. And I put it on Facebook, and I said, free to whoever collects, but, and actually somebody who came to one of my workshops popped up fairly quickly and said that she would like them. But then she'd been pipped to the post by a stranger from Brighton who seemed to be running something that educated photographers about how to be better business people. And Ali, who I thought was a guy, said that that everyone would get a lot of benefit out of them, and then he could basically get over and get it quicker. So he went over and collected them. But it turned out to be a she. And then, interestingly enough, she then joined my membership.
Oh, brilliant.
Which was really nice, because she hadn't come across me before, and the act of coming to get my books and realising how good the books were made her then look me up on the internet, and she went through my whole process. I can track what she did, what she opted in for and everything like that. And yeah, she sent me a very grateful message, and then she joined up for the membership, because she said, I can tell you're the real deal, which was right.
Oh, cool.
So I had no expectations that would, do anything at all except, be nice, a good home for my books.
Yeah.
But not only is it a good home, I've got a new lovely stranger as a client.
Everything is always working out for us.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I listened to that this week.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, nice one. What about you?
Well, I've got 2, actually. I was very pleased.
Okay, so focus of the week then.
It's about stuckness, which is the one that came up, I think, either last week. It's the one that I think the listeners haven't heard yet, but we recorded last week, about stuck thinking. And I think you're going to talk about being stuck in business, and you won't be surprised to hear that I'm going to talk about being stuck in life.
Oh, very good.
You go first.
Okay, well, the thing that brought this up is that I have an ongoing issue with Facebook. They do not...
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Yeah. I need to make a growling noise when you say that, because so many people do growl. People have issues with Facebook, particularly in the context you're going to explain to us.
Growl's a bit of a surprise, I have to say. Oh, my God. I'll try and compose myself. So Facebook have an ongoing issue with me. Well, okay. So here's the thing. This is verging on pessimism. You know, learned optimism and how if you're pessimistic, and I have to catch myself a lot because I have a tendency to do this. But being a pessimist means that you become a victim. And being a pessimist means that you make statements like that are permanent, pervasive, and personal. So I just made one there. I don't know if you noticed. Permanent, Facebook have an issue with me.
Yeah.
That's personal. Facebook have an issue with my business. Well, that's pervasive and permanent.
Yep.
And it's negative as well. So I've got this belief, and I know it's ridiculous because it's an automated algorithm, for heaven's sake, but they just keep rejecting my ads. Now, the thing that I love most, and I think it reflects me and my business best, is the V-zine. But they will not let me anymore boost my V-zine to my potential ideal future customers. And it's an actual level one of my marketing campaign is to boost a video, and that's what I teach people in Be Everywhere Online. And so I've been having a real problem with getting the basic lowest level of my marketing campaign going recently. So I hired, when I was in Australia, I hung out with Ilana Weschler of Green Arrow Digital, and she's an absolute whiz on Google AdWords and Facebook. So she teaches people to use Google AdWords when people are searching for, say, for example, Business Coach London. You would make sure that I know you appear there naturally by SEO, lucky old you, because you paid an SEO person to do that, didn't you?
We had an understanding, yes.
Okay, fair enough. And so my basic problem is I don't really know what search phrase people would put in to find someone like me if they didn't know who I was already. I've surveyed my clients. They say things like social media strategy, social media plan. So that's what I'm going with on Google AdWords. And then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to remarket to the people who come to your website, engage with your videos and all that stuff. So my fundamental flaw is that it costs quite a lot on Google AdWords. It costs something like £2 a visitor, and without being able to track through the funnel, because you've only got 28 days, these pixels only track for 28 days. So unless someone does something meaningful on your website within 28 days after clicking one of your ads on either Facebook or Google ads, you don't know which ads are turning into revenue. So it's basically for my own advertising, it's a lot harder than the advertising campaigns of all my clients because they've all got things that convert quicker than 28 days anyway. So that's what I've been working on with Sue O'Kell, is how to create something that people convert to quicker. And you could argue that I've got my book, my Attract book, and I've been trying to get that going, but Facebook don't like it. So when I send people to my landing pages, they were just turning my ads off. Now, if you have too many ads turned off over a period of time, your account gets closed. So and I'm already using a different account. So I have my concerns about this. Well, anyway, Ilana was getting on a call with me this week because she says it shouldn't be this difficult. You're doing everything right and it shouldn't be this difficult. So that's good. But the point I'm trying to make about this is that I have to overcome these obstacles. I have to find a way because my sign-up rate to my membership site has diminished dramatically from last year when I was able to run ads, because I just simply can't get in front of enough people and I cannot convert enough of those people to leads yet. So I have to constantly be thinking about what to do. And it's funny because I was in the shower the other morning and I suddenly thought, we are turning Own It into videos. Somehow, somewhere along the line in our process, a video appears on our Facebook page, which I could boost because I've got access to everything, and I know that the listeners to Own It are quite likely to be my customers, or my customers do end up listening to Own It. So,
I agree. Yes.
So I thought, here we go. This is what I can do. I can boost Own It to our business women between 35 and 55 or 65 even.
Yep.
And that would benefit not only the podcast, but it would benefit me because I could then show my ads for my book to the people who engage with and listen to Own It.
Well, and that works. That's joined up thinking. That's those videos on Mondays are a Libsyn thing, aren't they?
I think they come from Libsyn. It puts them onto YouTube automatically, and it puts them to Facebook page.
Yes, Sarah set it up, but you can only do it once.
What do you mean?
In a week, we can only do that once.
Oh,
from
okay.
automatically. You can only do it once.
Yes.
Hmm.
But it does.
Because actually, you'd like to do it more often than that, really, wouldn't you?
No, once a week's fine for me.
No, what I mean is, if we wanted to organically promote the podcast on Facebook, I would like to be able to do that more than once a week automatically.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, in your example, it's fine. In the podcast example, it could be improved, but it's fine. It's better than nothing, because it means on Mondays we get another bite of the cherry.
Yeah, and better than nothing, it means that the front end of my marketing campaign has got new prospects who are watching the
Yes, and so what you're saying is it's a double whammy. It promotes the podcast.
Yeah,
it draws to you your ideal client. Yeah, and then you send them to the book, and then they end up eventually going through your funnel.
And if I send them to the book, in fact, I'm sending them to a page where they can watch my Be Everywhere webinar and get the book for free, because I have a book page that sells it for $7.95, and people do buy it at that. But then I've also got, I'm sending people to a chance where they can get it for free, but it has a value. So
I also think Facebook might like it, because the video is actually hosted on Facebook, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, they like it much better.
Yes, I bet they do.
So for £5 a day, I'm now boosting our Own It, and I can already see the difference in download numbers, because of course if it plays on Facebook, it's coming from Libsyn, so Libsyn tracks the downloads and listens, and that's really cool. That works really well. So I was so incredibly thrilled when I came up with this.
Yeah, it's quite a genius solution, actually, which when we spoke earlier in the week about this, you hadn't got to yet.
No, I hadn't. And it popped into my head as a bit of inspiration after I'd had a good night's sleep, and I was in the shower, and I suddenly thought, oh, of course, Own It.
Yeah.
Go on, Own It now.
Yes.
So I was very happy. But if I hadn't kept going, if I hadn't kept thinking, I've got to overcome this. Facebook will change the way they're doing things. I've got to change the way I do things. Some people would have just given up or slipped into pessimism and gloom and not tried to keep going. But I know that my business depends on me finding a solution to this. So I had to keep going.
Yeah.
And I had to not take it personally that Facebook don't seem to like me. And I had to overcome this obstacle. And really, business it's a series of overcoming obstacles, isn't it? You have to be ready, because people sort of think that you become a successful business and then there's no other obstacles to get over it. Just you swan along with no issues.
Well, everything changes all of the time. Yes.
It does. Yes, it does. And you have to be ready for that, don't you, really? It
gets tiring.
It can do, yes. I felt quite tired last week when I was thinking about it all.
Can I share a smaller than that success that a client had with Facebook? 2 weeks ago, one of my clients had that thing of where Facebook said, you can't call yourself what you're calling yourself.
Oh, right.
Even though it was her name.
Yeah.
And she had another good reason to be calling herself that, because in fairly recent history, she'd had a sort of stalker incident.
Oh, God.
And what she decided to do, I think, by a little bit of sort of prodding and brainstorming and poking around in it, was to write them a letter, copy it like a document, and upload it in the space of what they were asking for her proof of her name. Somebody read it, and somebody said, oh, yes, you're absolutely right, terribly sorry, and backed down.
Oh, okay, good. So what was it?
We're always moaning, aren't we, that no human being will speak to us?
Yes.
So we found a different way, which is that we wrote and explained it, snipped it, saved it as a PDF, and uploaded it where she was supposed to send an upload of a passport.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing, isn't it? It's creative thinking. How can I get the other side of my story into their system?
Yes, yes. And there is always a way. And if your subconscious, if you know that you're not going to give up, then you're telling your subconscious to keep working on the problem. And often we often say, don't we, solutions come in the shower or ironing or watering the garden or whatever when you're doing things. But you have to prompt your subconscious. You have to let your subconscious know that you are looking for a solution to this problem.
By the open questions again. How can I?
Yeah, how can I indeed?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that was pretty much it this week. It's all about looking, not giving up, not becoming pessimistic, not letting it be use language to yourself that means that your subconscious can't get to work on solving your problems.
There's one thing I'd like to say in response to that, an observation. The pixels and the 28 days thing, that's not long enough. Let me tell you why. For some unknown reason, the only place I actually see Facebook ads, despite attempting to block them everywhere, is on my iPad when I'm in bed often at night. I've clicked on and indeed bought from some of the increasingly attractive clothes websites.
Oh, yes.
And so because I've done that, they show me more and more and more of them.
Yeah.
But I don't buy often, frequently, within 28 days.
No.
Either because I haven't got the money or something. So actually, 28 days on a pixel isn't long enough.
Well,
I'm actively engaged with these people's Facebook campaigns, but I don't often buy within 28 days. I have to wait for the money or the season or being in a place where I can receive a parcel. Lots of reasons.
But by clicking like on their ads, you're not only telling them you want to see more of that garment manufacturer or whatever. You're telling them you like that stuff, but what you're doing is you're interacting and you're getting yourself into an audience where they can remarket. Well,
interestingly, I don't click like, I click shop now and go and have a look and then don't buy. But after 28 days, that would fade away, wouldn't it? But
hang on, can I just answer that?
Yes, no, hang on. I just want to finish. I just want to hold your thought, write a note if you need to, because now I've forgotten what the second most important bit. Oh, yes. And one of them, and this really impresses me, and I wish we could work out how to do it. Only one of, 10 managed to hook it up so that meant they could email me as well.
Without you putting your name and email in?
Yeah, because I liked it on Facebook and Facebook have my name and email. And I know this is possible because I've seen it happen, and I never put my name and email in everything. So the only way they could end up in my inbox is because they've worked out how that functionality on Facebook works, which is when I liked it and go and have a look, they email me, and they email me every day.
They're really not supposed to do that.
I think there are. I think there is a way that you can do that because it's not the first time it's happened to me. You
could do lead ads, but that still requires you to manually put your name and email in.
No, I don't do that. I never do that. I don't want it in my inbox. I mean, I'm all right with this one because I can look at the pretty clothes again, but mostly I don't want anything in my inbox.
Yeah.
But there is some kind of hookup with Facebook where that can happen, and this isn't the first time. Right. As you were, what's the thought you had?
The thought I had was that once you've clicked through to someone's site, they're allowed to market to you for 180 days. So that extends the 28-day window.
Okay, marvellous. All right.
And if you if you go to someone's site and put your name and email in, or in return for, say, a discount voucher, the goal of the business is to get you to take some action that enables them to tell which ad has generated that action.
All right. I'd like to make another point here. Without exception, in Judith world, everybody shows me the discount voucher far too soon. I want to have a look first and see if there's anything once. So I click it away and I've forgotten what it said and now I can't use it.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terribly annoying. And it's not. And people I love's websites do that as well. It's too soon. Don't be showing you that pop-up box now. I'm not ready. I haven't had a chance to look around here and decide whether I like it.
Yes, good. I mean, that should be an exit pop, not an arrival pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have exit pops, but I don't pop people on arrival. And you can't run Facebook ads if you've got something that pops up on arrival.
Well, and the other problem is it's not really on arrival; it's just too soon. But the interesting thing about it is, remember, I am not a person who particularly values a discount. I'm sure people are listening and thinking, "Well, you're a muppet, Judith. You should be writing that number down and then clicking it away." But remember, I'm not really a discounty person. If I like it, I'm going to buy it. If you give me if you then add the discount back in because I've arrived, it were great, but I can't be bothered.
No, they should offer it when the first time you go to the checkout, shouldn't they?
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Yes, and actually, mainly the discount is to get me onto their email list, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
So anyway, my investment in a mentor paid off because she managed to work out what was wrong with my landing pages. And it was, just for the benefit of anyone listening, it was simply that I had a burger menu at the top. You know, the 3 lines at the top, rather than, they don't like that apparently.
Okay, all right.
They want to be able to see your navigation immediately you arrive without having to click on the burger.
Oh, so a nice old-fashioned website like mine then.
Yeah, well, they do. They like those
nice old-fashioned nav bars.
Yeah, exactly. They want and that was pretty much the only thing that they'd been objecting to. But of course, they never told me that. I had to pay for a mentor to tell me that. But she earned her keep in that one session.
Yes,
really.
Good for her.
Yeah, so yes, now I've got a landing page that works. I've got a way of expanding my audience with ideal potential future customers. So I'm a happy woman again.
Oh, good.
Because it means, because when you're constantly trying to find solutions to a problem, I can't switch off and relax and go down the beach. But if I know that my marketing machine is working away in the background, once a week I have to tweak it just to change the ad to the next episode. That's all I have to do now. And everything else, level 2 ads are running, level 3 ads are running, level 4 ads are running. My whole marketing machine's flowing back again because it's got a pool of people to show things to.
Yeah, Roger, got you.
Roger, indeed. There we go.
So I've made notes, obviously, about mainly about the life aspect of this, which is, I noticed you shared a comment this morning that said a therapist once taught me, and it was about marriage is something, not a prison sentence. Yeah. And something I learned from a therapist is to sit with the problem a bit, not to rush to the solutions. I used to be one of those like you who rushes to the solution because we weren't comfortable with discomfort. But I think you can learn to be, and funnily enough, you contradicted yourself in your bit because you said the ideas come when I'm ironing or showering. And then you said, but I can't go down the beach and relax. Maybe the solution would come if we're in that relaxed space. And so the therapist taught me, don't try to get out of how uncomfortable the discomfort feels. Just sit with it for a bit because it's got a message for you. And I've reported that on this podcast many times, and I've got comfortable with discomfort, even if I have to talk myself through it a bit. This isn't very comfortable. No, Judith, but that's all right for a few days.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like the whole situation here. Everyone's living with the discomfort of not knowing what's going to happen and which way things are going to go and when they're going to go whichever way they go. But so that's like living. It's living with constant change, isn't it?
Yeah, and no, we don't like, human beings don't like that.
No, we don't.
I'm working on something, and I'm in a massive forum of hundreds of people, and they endlessly ask questions, and the answer to the question is you won't know till you go to the meeting. But that doesn't satisfy anybody or stop our little brains trying to work out what we're going to do and what we're going to say. Well, we can't until we have the facts in front of us. So we won't know till we go to the meeting. But we constantly picking away at that scab. I've written here that I like to dream up, literally, inspirations and solutions, or brainstorm them with clients and talk it out. And that's what I did with that lady who wrote the letter and uploaded it. You want to be able to make your case against Facebook, and they either are 100% introverts who don't want to talk to their customers. There's no phone line. You can't phone up, can you?
If you've got a business account, you can do live chat in office hours, which I find incredibly helpful.
Yes, that is helpful. I agree.
And if you appeal these decisions, then you often get reviewed by a real person.
Okay. All right. Now, yes.
But what you don't want is lots of ads being disapproved.
No. Right. So go sooner to the live chat, and sooner to the appeal.
But they won't tell you what you've done wrong. I mean, it's like they won't tell you that they don't like burger.
Well, that's like some kind of relationship with an unhealthy human being.
It is. It's
where you've got to try and work out how to please them.
Yes, it's exactly.
If that was a marriage, we would have left.
Annie Kazina would be saying that Facebook is a narcissist.
Yes. I've written down here as well the preparedness to experiment, which I think is quite important. Yeah. But not necessarily in the Facebook contents, because you're using up your lifelines as you do it, aren't you?
Well, you are with Facebook, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's back to this point of we don't know until we give it a go, often. And in the life sense where we're stuck, if there's nobody to brainstorm with, from your chair at home, then leave home and go and look at your problem from a distance where you get this perspective. I quite often say, when I'm looking at the screen now as if I'm talking to your face, but obviously I'm not. But if I was here by myself, I would have my head down looking at my notes. And I always think what you need is somebody to come along and grab your fringe, pull your head up to the horizontal so you can look 180 degrees more if you're more flexible than me. But that's where the solutions are. They're not, in our close focus.
No, actually, it's really interesting you said it, because we were only talking about this yesterday. It's been proven that you become more creative if you have your head up and you're walking and looking at the horizon.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, so that's a good
thing. Also, every retreat I've ever been on, it's like you just have these amazing ahas about your life.
Oh, because you've got yourself out of your day.
You're not at home. Yes, you're not at home, and you're open, you're relaxed, all sorts of lovely things like that, which is why the shower and the ironing and the beach. Now, here's another one. Not all problems need solving, or not all of them need solving immediately. And this came to me this week when I was discussing something similar with a client, and I said, sometimes if I don't know how to respond to a request or an email, not very often, but in extremis, I simply delete it and they never come back. So you don't actually have to solve all problems that present themselves to you.
So you just delete it and see if they come back?
Yeah. If I don't know, it's rare. I know what to do about everything. I'm a know-all. But if there's something turns up in my inbox and I go, ooh, and I sit on it for a bit and no solution comes and I don't like it in my inbox and I don't know what to do about it, I delete it. Like people used to do in offices, you just lose that piece of paper. And if it doesn't come back, then, let people assume when they present you with dilemmas that you haven't received them.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Well, I've got clients, not many, who don't even look at email.
Well, I mean, I know none of my children do.
No, quite. So, so if in doubt, it's a bit like when the phone rings. There's no requirement to pick it up.
Oh, I don't pick it up over here.
No, there's lots of things that we don't actually have to do, but we're a bit good girlish.
Yeah, that's very true.
And you remember that lovely self-development thing about the monkey? You drive into the office car park and you park the car, and between your car and your office, somebody meets you and says, Judith, I'm glad I've caught you. I've got this problem. And you go, leave it with me. You've taken on the monkey. Do you remember that expression? Don't have to take on the monkeys. Empower the people to solve their own monkeys. Yeah,
brilliant.
And sometimes I even say, I don't know how to solve this one. I'm so sorry. I feel for you. Many, many people are in the same position you are. I say nice things, but I haven't always got either the desire to solve it or the need to solve it or the answer.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this a problem that needs solving? Yes, your Facebook example needed solving.
It did. That's the entrepreneur's trap of responsibility. Do you remember Joseph?
I do.
Yeah, and you can choose not to become responsible for other people's emotions and problems and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, and funnily enough, I've got 3 or 4 more bullet points here. How serious is it?
Yeah.
How urgent is it? Not the same thing. That's the difference between urgency and importance. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Stuck thinking. How can we loosen that up a bit? So lift your head, go on a retreat, go down the beach, have a shower, whatever it is, go for a drive. And this last one, exactly what you were saying. Are you taking all the responsibility on yourself? Who else is involved in this who could help?
Yeah, nice.
Is this all about stuckness or is it about problem solving? What's it about? We decided we would call it "What to Do When You're Stuck." Is that what it is?
I still think that's a really good title because people just give up when they're stuck. But actually, if you've got to go through your questions, is it urgent? Does it need to be solved now? Can I give my subconscious time to work on it?
Yes, that's a nice one. Can I give my subconscious time to work on it? Lovely.
Yeah. And am I falling into the trap of pessimism? The language I'm using around this obstacle or problem, is it helping me? Is it serving me, or is it not? Is it making things worse? Like Facebook hates me and always. Well,
interestingly, when you said that bit at the beginning, you've done a very good job. I realise you've done a very good job of hypnotising me into believing that as well, because you've said it so often, and it seemed logical.
Yeah, but it's not true, is it?
Well, it doesn't need to be, does it? Doesn't need to be, no.
So, so everything.
And also, we're the queen of workarounds. You found a workaround.
Well, entrepreneurs are the queen of workarounds.
We are, that's right. Or the king, yes. Okay. I put that on my T-shirt. I am the queen of the workaround.
Oh, nice. So you've got a whole range building now. I want a range of pink T-shirts.
Well, I'll see.
Slogans on.
I'll see.
So easy to get it going.
Now, tell me about your word of the week.
It is moment, as in live in the moment, because the only way you can sit with change, uncertainty, an obstacle that your subconscious is working on is to be able to compartmentalize and live in the moment.
Yeah.
So I've just, that's it, moment, brackets, live in.
Okay, and I've written commercial because I spoke to a lady, I think, the night before last, who's got a proper real-world business with staff and premises and all of that sort of thing. And we had to talk about hard decisions involving the relationship between clients, staff, and the bottom line. And that actually, if we go back to your section of the middle bit, the business implications of stuck thinking, that's what she and I do all the time. We brainstorm how could this be better for the clients of the business, the staff of the business, and the bottom line, which of course is why she's in business. And sometimes that's commercial, by which I mean hard decisions have to be made.
Yeah,
which affect people,
I wouldn't like that at all.
No.
I've got a great deal of respect for anyone who runs a business that involves hiring people or working with real life
Well,
clients.
I'll tell you what's interesting about it. Iteration one, as E-Myth hinted, where you find a paragon of virtue and throw everything at them, it fails. Iteration two, you've learned something with the first attempt at getting help, and then it works a bit better. It's still a bit tricky, but it gets easier, like everything.
Yes, and then sometimes lessons come up again and again and again to bite you on the bum.
Which is the point you made, which is you never get there.
No, and then even when you get there, things change.
Michael Neal would say, what if there's no there?
Yes.
Or you get to a place where that's the last straw, you've had enough now.
Yes, that's another option, isn't it?
It is, always, yes.
Change completely.
Yeah.
Right, project updates then.
You go first.
I have edited all of the Money Gym audios, and I'm now equalising them and exporting them in the format that Audible requires. I've set up an account at Audible, and I have created my artwork, which nearly sent me over the edge, I have to say, because you know how good I am at graphic design.
Yes.
Not at all. I can't. Pixlr have changed, so they use Pixlr Express has changed, and you can use it on your browser. But Pixlr Editor, which is the thing you need if you're going to swap words around and be able to fill in the gaps with colour and things like that, only works now if you allow Flash. Now there is a way to allow Flash, but it hasn't been working on my browser. Anyway, it took me a whole afternoon to finally I just had to keep trying, and I finally managed to get Flash working on my browser long enough to be able to move some words around. Because Audible put in a little corner thing, bottom right hand side, they put in a sort of little banner over your right hand corner, and it was going over my name in my artwork, so I had to sort that out.
Well, more power to you for being able to use Editor. I can't. I can do the other one, but I can't do that. And I watch my telly generally on my computer. Channel 4 and ITV both require me to enable Flash.
Yes, but they don't tell you how to enable Flash.
Well, I know how to do it. It's up the top right corner where it's being blocked, and then it gives me a message you want to block or allow on this website.
Oh, well, anyway.
No, look at that. I know something techier than you do.
Yeah, all right.
It's all to do with desire, isn't it? I clearly wanted to watch a programme, so I worked out how it worked.
Just telling you, annoyingly, you can sometimes spend longer trying to set up your thing to watch the damn programme than it actually takes to watch the damn programme.
Well, sometimes then you lose the will to live, especially if it's hot.
Yeah. So now I've just got to go through and make sure that they're all at the same sound level, and then I can upload them to Audible. I can get myself a discount voucher from Audible, and I can go to my publisher and say, right, let's set up a discount of my book, so that if I can, then I'm going to do some sort of live book reading on my page, where I'm not actually going to be reading it. I'm going to be playing the recording, the audio recording, and answering questions at the same time. And hopefully then if people then go and buy the book for 99p and do a review on it, I can then send them a voucher to get the Audible copy for free. That's the best promotion idea I've come up with so far.
And have you recorded these at home with the birds tweeting in the background? Does that matter?
No, funnily enough, I recorded them back in 2010. You remember when everything fell apart and I was working out of Kim's Narnia room in the attic? Yep. So it was a really good sound because all of her gorgeous clothes hanging up around me muffled the sound. So I got a really good sound on it, yeah. But what I had to do was listen to them all recently to make sure I'd got rid of the, oh my God, when every time I went wrong.
Yes.
Fluffed it. So I've had to listen to the whole 10 hours again, Judith. It's been excruciating, but it reminded me what good content it is. So I'm pressing on with it.
Okay.
What about you?
I think I've got an example here of looking at things from a different angle. I've avoided, under no pressure at all from them, talking to the estate agents who I think want me to drop the price on Worthing. But I've started to be able to manage to pay the service charges thanks to the PPI windfalls, which were the reason for selling. So the urgency for me to sell Worthing has abated somewhat. But instead, I started to think of selling the entire portfolio, which would mean I could pay off all the mortgages before they're sold, which would mean that if I start with the London one, it gives me a lot of cash and I could pay down the mortgages one at a time, which meant that I've got more flexibility on the price and the hassle of owning them, if that makes sense. But so it's just like, instead of a bottom-up strategy, I'm thinking of going for a top-down one.
Yeah. So instead of selling the ones that aren't worth the link.
Instead of selling the grubby ones at the bottom, I start with the one at the top that I was hanging on to that I no longer think I will need. And then it gives me more flexibility on the price on the ones at the bottom end.
Yeah. bit like when you've got a load of debts, you work out whether you're going to pay the ones with the highest interest rate first or the ones.
Yeah, and it's a choice. What this American forum I'm on regularly reminds us, that's our decision to make. There's no right or wrong way often to do a lot of things.
So what will happen now then? Are you going to?
I don't know yet. I'm just thinking about it at the moment, and I'm thinking about it. And also today is the second day of the judicial review on my WASPy Women's thing, and if the government pay me a lump sum, that could make, or reinstate my pension, that could make a difference as well. So it's all about the money in one's life changing all of the time. The PPI meant that the heat was off for paying the service charges, and the government reinstating the pensions for women of my age would give me. I could probably keep the lot and not sell anything. Do you know what I mean? Everything changes all the time as every contributory factor changes.
That is the theme of the show, isn't it?
Everything yes, it is.
All the time.
Yes. Now, but tell me who or what's impressed you.
Well, I'll tell you who didn't impress me.
Oh, no. I don't like it when you do that.
What?
Well, you've only done that twice. I don't like it. Tell me who hasn't impressed
I've got who did impress me to come afterwards. So.
Okay, all right.
But who didn't impress me? I managed to catch up all last week of Britain's Got Talent, and right at the very last minute, I'm not joking, in the commercial break before we went to the final, to watch the final, I managed to see on social media that the old Chelsea pensioner had won the damn thing.
Mm.
And I really wasn't impressed with that at all. I mean, what is wrong with the British public? I know he's a lovely old boy, and I love it. I know it's his last chance to do this sort of thing, but he really wasn't that great.
Who was your winner?
Who was my winner? Well, unfortunately, she went out in the semi-finals. So
okay, the lady that sung "Blinded by Your Grace" from from Grenfell Tower.
Yes, that's
yes.
The one.
Okay,
amazing. I wasn't really that bothered about any of them. Sorry, Matt Duggan. Far too much magic on it this year. I know there were some fantastic magic acts, but it doesn't do it for me, I'm afraid. But yeah, no. I sort of gave up on the whole thing at that point, so I wasn't impressed at all. I know it was a sympathy vote. And it's just, that's patronising, isn't it?
It wasn't just sympathy. I think it was, xenophobia is the Brexit factor as well. There's the, what do we call it? People who are not xenophobia, that's going too far, but it's a kind of, I know it's no coincidence that today is D-Day, so there's, patriotic, over mad bonkers. It was bonkers. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
But what I have enjoyed this week is the Piers Morgan and Michael Parkinson interview. Piers Morgan, people either love him or hate him. I actually quite like him. He was like a little puppy looking for approval from one of his heroes. And he did a really good job of interviewing Michael Parkinson. He was very respectful. He asked some great questions. He said he'd never prepared for an interview so much as that one. And Parky was well up for it. He talked very frankly and honestly, and he got quite upset at one point. And I was in tears with him, and it was just a really good interview, and I thought it was done very well. But Piers can be a little bit arch sometimes, but he wasn't with Parky at all.
Parky was my favourite interviewer, actually. I was hopelessly in love with him in the 70s. He hasn't aged well, but he was a fantastic interviewer. Well, no, actually, in his early years, he could be a bit sexist and a bit egotistical, but he was one of the old school let's have an hour-long interview show types.
Yeah, and he said, I watch myself now and cringe.
Yeah,
myself.
Yes.
But, there's nothing to deny that the man's got a phenomenal body of work, and he's kept going.
That's true.
Still working now, which
he's
on tour with his son, I think.
Yes.
So he's on tour with his son, interviewing him about his life and the people he's interviewed and everything.
Yeah. Well, he's a proper journalist before that as well, you see. Going back to the hour-long interview show, the second series of the David Letterman interviews is on Netflix. There's only one person that you might like to watch, Kanye. I wasn't interested in Kanye, but the second one is Ellen DeGeneres, and I've watched that this week, and she was fantastic. But what I love is an hour-long television conversation between two human beings without any advert breaks in it.
Yeah, no, I love that Letterman thing. He's good too.
And about storytelling and magic on BGT, that guy that came third, he sat down on the stage and drew us into a story. I thought that was very impressive.
Yes. And X, who revealed that he'd got into the finals last year and came back.
X was my winner, but he came second. But that was okay. Yeah.
I remember him from last year as well.
Yeah, so do I.
What about you?
Well, funnily that you should begin this section by saying, in the last ad break, you saw who'd won. I want to talk about the ad breaks on Britain's Got Talent, because there was a marketing tie-up between Britain's Got Talent and Marks and Spencer's Food, which used the judges' voices and the voices of Ant and Dec to describe the delicious-looking food, using Marks and Spencer's language. This isn't just Marks and Spencer's food, this is whatever it is, that sort of seductive thing. Yeah. But they did funny little skits in the voiceovers. I thought the adverts were brilliant. You probably don't watch them. I do. The voice, where they pretended to be cutlery and kitchen utensils and jars of chutney. I, at first, don't see it as natural bedfellows. Britain's Got Talent's a bit naff, Marks and Spencer's a bit upmarket. But the series of adverts over 8 weeks caused me to visit the Marks and Spencer's food hall twice, which is something I don't do very often, and buy some of the items showcased in the adverts, which is something I never do. But the brilliant thing, the first time when I went to the self-checkout, their voices, Amanda Holden, and they spoke to me from the till, telling me where to put my basket, what to do. And what fun, brilliant marketing that was. It's like I'm in Marks and Spencer's and the judges from Britain's Got Talent are talking to me. The first time it freaked me slightly, but the only thing I wonder is, whether the BGT viewer and the Marks and Spencer's customer are one and the same. Is it a good brand match, and will we ever find out? But that whole tie-up, I really enjoyed the adverts. And how often do you actually say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
They were funny, they were clever, and they made me spend money in Marks and Spencer's.
Well, I pay £3 a month to get the ads taken off my app. So.
Oh, what a shame, because these were really good. They were really good. They were animated knives and spoons, and, the food was real and delicious looking, tempting enough to buy. And, the team, everybody except Simon, all the actors and the presenters, were pretending to be knives and forks and jars of chutney. It was just they were funny, they were stylish, it had a light touch, and it worked.
Well, I'm off to YouTube to watch them now.
But what I'd like to know is, do the mass people who vote for the Chelsea pensioner, and Marion always knows the stats on this, because X Factor and ITV reveal it the next day, 25% of the votes went to the Chelsea pensioner. Do they buy their food at Marks and Spencer's? If not, it's a brand mismatch, and has it worked?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we've got to go.
We have.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life.